People try hard to be heard, yet the sharpest advantage often comes from silence. Every room is full of signals that talk louder than speech. A twitch of an eyebrow, the angle of a chair, the pause before a cup touches a saucer. These quiet cues let you read thoughts, steer feelings, and shape outcomes long before anyone notices a clever line. In this voiceover, you will learn how to master that silent layer. You will see why top negotiators listen with their eyes, why elite poker players watch knees, not faces, and why a manager who controls a pause can guide an entire board meeting. You will also learn simple habits that need no special talent, only patience and practice. Start by paying close attention to baseline behavior. Every person has a natural rhythm when they feel safe, a normal blink rate, hand position, and speaking tempo. Research at the University of Portsmouth found that during honest conversation, average blink speed stays near 16 blinks per minute, while under stress, it can double. Find that resting line first. Chat about weather, offer a coffee, anything light. While they settle, note how their shoulders rest, how their feet point, how their fingers move when they have nothing to prove. From that moment on, any shift away from the baseline may reveal new emotion, interest, worry, deception, excitement. When you catch a spike or a drop, do not stare. Keep looking at something neutral like a notebook or a glass. The best observers create a cone of casual attention that never feels rude. Now tune your focus toward micro-expressions. These are flashes of emotion that last less than half a second. They leak through before the brain can mask them. A tiny lift at the right corner of the mouth often signals contempt. Wrinkles appearing only beside the eyes, not just the mouth, show real smile. Paul Ekman, who mapped 7 universal micro-expressions, trained airport security teams that now catch many hidden threats. You can use the same skill in daily life. Notice a flicker of doubt as a client scans a contract. Notice a spark of thrill when someone sees a new idea. Micro-expressions are honest because they are fast. Pause your response by a single heartbeat and let that silent beat guide your next move. Body posture paints a bigger picture. Open palms, uncrossed arms, and feet pointing towards someone all suggest openness. Crossed ankles under the chair often suggest a guarded mind. In salary talks, watch the feet. Faces stay polite, but ankles give away tension. A study in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior showed that people unconsciously mimic the posture of someone they trust within 2 minutes. If you keep your shoulders loose and knees relaxed, many people will copy you and relax without knowing why. That mirrored calm sets the stage for agreement. Distance does silent work too. Edward T. Hall called it proxemics. Public space starts around 12 feet, personal space begins near 4 feet, and intimate space is inside 18 inches. Stay in the right band. Step a little closer than expected when you must show confidence, but do it slowly enough that the other person can adjust. Retreat half a step if you feel them stiffen. That modest retreat signals respect and often draws them forward again. They will believe it was their idea to close the gap. Objects also speak. Where you sit sends a message before you utter a word. In most conference rooms, the spot midway between head and foot of the table is the ally seat. It shows partnership, not dominance. During a job interview, place your phone face down and your hands on the table. A 2024 survey of hiring managers found that visible hands raised rated trust by 18%. Nothing was said, yet a silent signal raised your odds. Control of pace is another silent lever. Slow your breathing to 6 cycles per minute. Inhale for 5 counts, exhale for 5 counts. Heart rate follows breath, and people near you often sync subtly to your tempo. A calm heartbeat projects composure. When tension peaks, sip water. The tiny pause lets adrenaline settle. Experienced trial lawyers keep a glass on the lectern not for thirst, but to buy half a second of chill before the next question. Eye contact works best in short doses. Hold a gaze for about 3 seconds, then glance aside to a safe corner, never down. Alternating contact at that rhythm shows interest without aggression. In high-stakes bargaining, observed by Harvard's program on negotiation, deals closed 57% faster when each side used soft eye contact in bursts of 2 to 4 seconds rather than a hard stare. Reading cues matters, but shaping your own cues may matter more. Stand with weight on both feet. A slight lean forward signals engagement, yet keep hips back so you don't loom. Keep elbows clear of ribs. This expands the chest and frees the diaphragm so your voice, when you do speak, sounds richer without strain. Wear one clear symbol of authority, perhaps a lapel pin or a quality pen. Psychologists call this an anchor object. It draws the eye and marks you as centered even before words arrive. The skill of mirroring must stay subtle. Match tone, blink rate, and even breathing, but with a delay of 2 or 3 beats. Quick copying looks like mockery. Measured mirroring builds rapport. In 2023, Dutch researchers filmed strangers doing short problem-solving tasks. Pairs who mirrored posture within the first minute completed the puzzle 31% faster and rated each other as more competent afterward. Listening with your feet planted and shoulders square encourages sharing. Yet silence alone is not passive. Nod once for simple agreement, twice to invite more detail. Tilt your head 5 degrees when the speaker reaches an emotional point. That micro tilt shows empathy better than a long "I understand" speech. Skilled therapists rely on that head angle every day. Patterns guide expert readers. Poker professionals track the order in which opponents look at their hole cards and chips. Those who glance at chips first often hold strong cards ready to bet. Those who stare too long at the flop often hope the table will scare others. You do not need to know card theory to learn from patterns. In a monthly staff meeting, notice who checks their watch exactly after the finance slide. Next time, speak your proposal before that watch moment. Attention will last longer, and no one will realize you planned it. Data helps you explore silent zones online too. When people pause for over 2 hours before replying to a message, yet still type "sounds good," odds of dropout rise. That figure comes from a 2022 analysis of 12 million project management chats. If you see the slow reply pattern, follow up with an easy micro talk instead of a big ask. Their momentum will return. Silence wins arguments because it forces the other side to reveal more. During price talks, state your number and stop. Average wait time before a seller answers is about 3 seconds. But many buyers fill that gap with a new concession in just 2. Train yourself to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and let the weight of the pause do the lifting. Priming nudges outcomes without direct demand. A bowl of citrus scent in a study room raised test cleanliness scores by 21% at Radboud University. The scent suggested order. Bring subtle cues to your space. A neat stack of documents, a warm lamp behind you instead of overhead glare, a plant that signals care. People attune to the quiet message that you run a stable zone, so they relax and cooperate. Remember the illusion of transparency. Most people think their inner state is visible when actually it is hidden. That fear makes them project clues you can read. Keep your own inner weather private. A simple trick is to rehearse one calming memory: walking near water, hearing rain on a roof, while stepping into a tense room. Heart rate evens out and face muscles soften. Others sense calm, assume you know the path, and follow. Real-life examples prove the value. During the 1999 World Chess Championship, Vladimir Kramnik broke Garry Kasparov's winning streak not with bold moves, but by refusing eye contact after each play. Kasparov thrived on psychological stare-downs. The removal of that channel unsettled him. Kramnik spoke only through the board and his still posture. He took the match and the title. In 2018, an airline gate agent diffused an angry crowd after a storm grounding thousands of passengers. She climbed onto a chair, stood silent with open arms for 10 seconds, then used slow arm sweeps to guide families to one side, solo travelers to the other, Without a word, she shaped a line system that sped rebooking threefold. Local news called it the quiet miracle at Gate C17. Research can get dramatic, but keep your practice simple. First, spend 1 week logging where people's feet point in conversations. No judgment, just notice. Second week, add shoulder height. Third week, watch blink rate. Layer skills gently. By week 4, you will spot tension quicker than many therapists. Technology can help. Record your own silent presence with your phone camera. Mute the sound and watch whether your eyes dart, whether your shoulders slump, whether your hands fidget. Correct one gesture at a time. A small tripod on your desk can record practice sessions while you read email. Over a month, you will capture dozens of small gaps to close. Statistics show that nonverbal cues carry heavy influence. The often quoted 55-38-7 rule is limited to emotional judgments, yet it underlines a point. When feelings matter, words rank last. A University of Glasgow meta-analysis in 2021 reinforced that vocal tone and face cues together predict perceived trust up to 64% of the variance, far above spoken content. With silent mastery, you play on the bigger field. The goal is not manipulation for its own sake. Outsmarting others without words builds smoother paths for ideas that matter. You respect autonomy while guiding energy away from friction. The result is often win-win. Your plan advances and others feel their dignity intact because you never bulldozed them with speeches. Steps to ingrain the skill. Observe baselines in safe settings like coffee shops. Journal 3 silent tells you noticed each day. Mirror only one channel at a time. Start with breath, move to posture, then tone if you must speak. Use the power of pause. Count to 3 after your key point. Keep palms visible in any request. Practice placing objects to direct attention, such as a pen angled toward the document line you want signed. End each meeting by matching the exit speed of the slowest person. This signals patience and leaves a calm echo. By stacking these habits, you turn silence into an asset that speaks louder than a speech. Outsmarting does not mean tricking. It means seeing farther because nothing blocks your view. Words can be walls when used too fast. Quiet focus clears those walls so subtle truth comes through. The next time you enter a room, try saying less and watching more. Notice the way influences tilt, how fears flicker, how trust glows. Respond with poise, measured distance, gentle mirroring, and respectful stillness. You will steer events almost invisibly. People will leave thinking the outcome was their idea, while you hold the quiet blueprint of what happened. Silence, then, is not empty. It is packed with clues, leverage, and respect. Use it wisely and you can outsmart anyone, without uttering a single word. Silence sharpens conflict resolution in a way talking rarely can. When two co-workers lock horns over credit for a project, notice who breaks eye contact first. A short, downward glance often shows the person willing to yield if offered dignity. Stand beside, not between, and match their breathing pace from 3 feet away. That nonverbal alignment lowers cortisol within minutes, according to a 2022 study from the Karolinska Institute. Once their shoulders drop, pass each a pen and a sticky note without comment. The quiet act of writing rather than speaking forces concise thinking and slows rage. In most trials, the written exchange cuts argument time by 40% and ends with a clearer action item than a loud debate. Your environment can speak on your behalf. Soft, indirect light calms pupils and widens them slightly, which research from the University of Groningen links to higher ratings of warmth and approachability. A round table encourages cooperation more than a square one. Ray Birdswhistle tracked negotiation outcomes in 148 sessions and found circular seating produced 23% more joint solutions. If you must meet at a rectangular table, choose a seat beside rather than opposite the key stakeholder. The simple shift moves the encounter from adversarial to allied without a syllable. Timing shapes authority. The person who begins nodding 0.2 of a second after a new idea appears on screen is read as supportive yet decisive. Delay the nod beyond half a second and you look hesitant. Military briefing officers train with metronomes set to 72 beats per minute because normal conversation averages 100. Their slower head motions signal caution and, in crisis, command. You can borrow the trick by rehearsing a 3-beat pause before major gestures. The world will read measured movement as thoughtfulness. Breath control can lead a room, even when lungs are the only thing moving. Exhale slightly longer than you inhale to activate the vagus nerve. Heart Math Institute data shows this lowers heart rate variability within 90 seconds. And nearby people often mirror the pattern without noticing. When hearts slow together, cooperation scores climb. In a 2023 field experiment with 60 call center supervisors, teams whose leaders practiced paced breathing hit customer satisfaction targets 19% higher than control groups, though the staff never knew why morale felt different. Personal stillness is power because brains track motion for threat. Reduce unnecessary fidgets and you free cognitive load in viewers, letting them process your core message, even if that message is simple eye contact. Elite hostage negotiator Chris Voss often speaks about the late blink, a full blink held for 1 extra beat. This micro-pause signals composure and makes the other side feel pressed to fill the silence, often revealing their bottom line. Color works more quietly than words. A subtle splash of deep blue, tie, scarf, notebook cover, boosts perceptions of reliability across cultures. The Journal of Applied Color Psychology reported a 9-point trust increase on a 100-point scale for presenters who wore muted blues over high-contrast reds. Keep the shade desaturated so it does not shout. Combine it with natural textures like cotton or matte metal. Glossy surfaces create glare that elevates pulse rates. Digital space also has body language. If someone sends a message at 10:15 and you wait until 11:05, that 50-minute gap sets a silent hierarchy. Microsoft's 2024 Workplace Signals report found that response delays longer than 40 minutes subtly place the responder in a higher perceived status group, provided replies remain consistent in quality. Use the delay sparingly and balance it with engagement so you do not appear disinterested. Even the number of dots in a typing indicator matters. 3 dots signals steady thought, while a flicker on-off pattern can raise anxiety. Finish your response offline, then paste it in one controlled burst to avoid jitter. Silent persuasion can ride on scent as well. Vanilla tones increase feelings of trust during financial decisions, shown in a University of Southern California lab where participants invested 15% more in a joint fund when the room carried a faint vanilla aroma. Carry a neutral hand lotion with that note. Apply it before handshake moments. The scent lingers just long enough to register safety. Espionage tales underscore silent skill. During the Cold War, courier Oleg Pienkowski passed microfilm to the West using a matchbox with a scratched corner. He placed it on cafe tables at a 45-degree angle pointing toward his allies seconds before leaving. No word exchanged, yet nuclear secrets crossed borders. In business, Sarah Blakely won her first major hosiery order by handing the buyer a sample and then remaining silent for 27 seconds. The buyer later said the quiet confidence made her think, if she is that calm, the product must be great, and signed a deal that launched Spanx. Numbers back brevity. A 2025 meta-analysis of 214 sales calls showed that top closers spoke 43% less than average performers, but asked 28% more clarifying questions, then let the answers hang. Silence let prospects weigh their own words and convince themselves. You can train without risking real stakes. Pick a streaming drama, mute it, and predict plot turns from body language alone. Pause before big reveals to check your guess. Do 10 minutes nightly for a month. Accuracy often jumps from random to 70%, and you begin noticing the same cues in live meetings. Record your next video conference, crop out audio and watch the thumbnails. Count every time a participant's chin tucks while you speak. That micro bow can mean agreement. Collect the timestamps and review your script there. Those are lines that landed and need emphasis in future talks. If you face a chronic interrupter, master the silent reclaim. Stop mid-sentence, lower your notes, and turn your torso back toward the projector screen without speaking. Research from the University of Sydney tracked 14 classrooms where teachers used the turn-away pause. Students cut interruptions by 61% within 3 lessons. Adults follow the same pattern. The brief withdrawal removes attention, and humans hate social vacuum, so they grant the floor back. Use accessories as mute allies. A glass of water held midway between table and lips signals you'll speak again. People rarely cut in on a half-raised glass because subconscious rules assume the sip will finish the thought. Radio hosts hold pencils for the same reason. Lifting the pencils signals airtime belongs to them. Statistical guardrails keep you honest. If your blink rate peaks above 30 per minute, you may project stress even when calm. Install a webcam app that tracks blinks and warns you with a subtle screen tint. Lower the limit gradually through paced breathing. Consistency matters more than raw number. Sudden jumps are what others notice. When entering negotiations, tilt a folder down so its leading edge rests on the table. This small bridge subtly points their eyes to the contract line you want signed. Cognitive science calls it gaze guidance. Toyota procurement teams documented a 4% faster signature time when using angled folders versus flat ones. Silence also lets you spot synergy. During a brainstorming session, write key terms on sticky notes and place them on a whiteboard without comment. Step back and fold your arms at waist height. The gap invites colleagues to approach and rearrange notes. In 88 workshops measured by IDEO, silent clustering produced 29% more workable concepts than vocal shout-outs. Handling status differences takes nuance. When addressing senior leaders, keep gestures inside an invisible box no wider than your shoulders. Narrow gestures signal respect, with peers widen to elbow breadth to imply equality. A 2022 Yale experiment using motion capture suits showed that leaders rated collaborators 10 points more competent on a 100-point scale when their gesture width matched the leader's own range within 5 centimeters. Travel contexts bring extra layers. In some cultures, direct eye contact longer than 2 seconds is forward. Instead, watch the throat for a swallow. Frequent swallows can indicate nerves, suggesting you slow the tempo. SMEs closing deals in Southeast Asia improved renewal rates by 15% after team training on regional gaze norms, without changing any contract clauses. When words finally arrive, craft them to fit the silence, not replace it. Keep sentences short, no more than 16 words on average. Harvard linguists found decision fatigue rises once sentence length exceeds 20 words, especially after long periods of observation. Short statements respect the processing load that silent reading of cues already demands. Children are superb teachers of quiet influence. Watch how a toddler pulls a parent by one finger rather than the whole hand. The light touch signals need without alarm. In caregiving homes, staff who adopt the 2-finger lead reduce patient agitation episodes by 1/3. The principle holds in adult persuasion. Nudge, do not yank. Own silent exit strategy too. Meetings often unravel after the content ends but before chairs push back. Gather your items slowly, align papers, and stand when your key counterpart stands. Synchrony cements rapport in the final seconds and leaves a clean aftertaste. The Canadian Institute for Advanced Study measured follow-up compliance and found partners were 18% more likely to act on commitments when final motions were synchronized. Finally, practice a daily 3-minute recap. Sit still, eyes closed, and replay one interaction. Ask yourself 3 questions. What baseline did I observe? What deviation signaled hidden feeling? And how did my silence shape the outcome? Write one-line answers. Over time, you build a private playbook, richer than any loud strategy. In the end, silence is not the lack of action, it is precision action. It removes clutter so intent shines. Master it and you can guide, comfort, negotiate, and even diffuse danger while others are still filling the air with words. Outsmarting without talking is not magic, just disciplined attention paired with respect for how minds truly work. As your presence grows quieter, your influence grows louder, and rooms start tilting gently in your favor, before the first syllable leaves your lips. Silence also excels under pressure, when words can spark panic. During an onboard fire drill on a transatlantic flight in 2022, cabin crew communicated the entire aisle sweep with hand signals rehearsed the night before. No shouted orders, no rising chatter, yet passengers followed the pattern of arm sweeps and open hand stops. Evacuation time in the drill dropped from 6 minutes to 4 minutes 30 seconds after the speechless protocol. The airline later added quiet drills fleet-wide and saw a 51-second average gain in real emergencies. The lesson travels beyond airplanes. When the stakes rise, silence can keep cortisol from spreading. Job interviews reward the mute edge as well. Most candidates end answers with filler like, "So yeah, that's basically it." Trained applicants finish, breathe once through the nose, hold a relaxed half smile, and wait. That pause invites the interviewer to process rather than jump to the next question. A study from the University of Leeds on 600 engineering candidates showed that a 1-second calm gap after answers boosted perceived confidence by 18% and raised callback odds by 12%. Digital meetings create fresh layers of silent competition. Camera angle speaks louder than a boast. A webcam set at eye level instead of laptop lid height reduces the apparent nostril view that many people unconsciously read as submissive. Yale's Social Perception Lab time speaking turns in 200 group calls. Those with eye-level framing spoke on average 24% longer and faced fewer interruptions. Meanwhile, a background with vertical lines, a bookshelf, a plant stem, signals stability. Participants looking at a plain wall were judged 10 points lower on decisiveness. Text chat has its own silent grammar. Using a single emoji after a statement can make the text read as warmer than a follow-up sentence. Slack's 2024 user report noted that a thumbs-up reaction, rather than the word OK, shortened channel threads by 15% without harming clarity. Reactions function as nonverbal nods, clearing bandwidth. Next time you agree, let the icons speak and watch threads stay tidy. Silence can also balance power in personal relationships. Couples therapists often coach the silent three. When one partner finishes a point, the other counts 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000 before responding. The lag shows respect, reduces misinterpretation, and lowers the chance of interruption from 44% to 19%, according to a 2023 review across 7 clinics. Children absorb the pattern and mirror it at school, improving peer approval scores. In healthcare, quiet presence eases pain perception. A 2024 Johns Hopkins trial placed nurses at the bedside of post-surgery patients for 5 steady minutes with no speech, only gentle hand contact on the forearm. Painkiller requests dropped by 11% compared with control groups who received routine verbal check-ins. The still companionship told the nervous system you are safe in fewer neural circuits than words would reach. Professional sports unlock silent coaching daily. When basketball coach Steve Kerr presses both palms down toward the floor after a turnover, his team slows the next offensive set by almost 2 seconds on average. The gesture beats shouting "settle" across a loud arena. Players say they sense the signal without hearing it, and tempo stats confirm performance steadies faster. Adopt a personal downshift gesture for your own team, perhaps a gentle hand pat on the table to calm a heated brainstorm. Ethics matters because silent tools can drift into manipulation. Before using them, ask 2 checks. Will the outcome still look fair if everyone knows my method? Will the other person feel respected afterward? If both answers are yes, silence is a service. If not, step back. University College London ethicists suggest the reverse lens test. Picture yourself discovering that someone guided you purely through body language. Would you feel tricked or grateful? Let that image steer limits. Practical drills help the skills stick. Day 1. Ride public transit for 30 minutes and note every phone hand that flips screen side down when someone else boards. Tally 5 examples. Day 2. In a friend chat, match blink rate for 2 full minutes and log any rise in topic depth. Day 3. Angle your webcam 1 inch higher and record how many sentences you finish without interruption. Day 4. Enter a store, count to 2 after the clerk greets you, then answer. Watch their shoulders drop as the pace settles. Day 5. During a family meal, place your fork down between bites and track how the conversation tempo slows to match. Return to day 1 and repeat, layering fresh cues each week. Skills grow like compound interest. Silent influence even protects mental bandwidth. Neuroscientists at Stanford scanned 20 business leaders and found that decoding facial expressions use less glucose in decision zones than parsing complex speech. Leaders who relied more on silent cues during negotiations showed 40% lower metabolic demand in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, freeing fuel for strategy. Designers embed mute guidance in architecture. Airport wayfinding lines in contrasting floor tiles steer thousands of travelers per hour with no signs. Copenhagen's green wave bicycle lights slow riders at one intersection so that a cascading green sequence meets them ahead, cutting commute stress, though no loudspeakers shout instructions. You can harness similar flow in a workplace. Arrange chairs in gentle arcs pointing toward the stage and people sit oriented before the meeting starts. Climate also whispers. Opening a window 5 centimeters lowers carbon dioxide buildup and sharpens focus. A Swiss office study in 2023 showed that a CO2 drop from 1400 ppm to 900 ppm improved employee math error rates by 11%, though workers never linked the change to air. That silent physics can outsmart errors better than pep talks. Silent strategy even shapes finance. Algorithmic traders watch the latency of rival order packets. A sudden extra 3-millisecond delay hints at server congestion and possible price swings. They act on the quiet data before any press release. While you may not trade microseconds, you can watch budget timing in your firm. Invoices approved just before quarter close, signal leftover funds. Propose your pilot project then, and approval odds jump. Creative work thrives on pause too. Screenwriters in a 2024 Writers Guild program wrote pages during 90-minute sessions with one rule. After typing a scene header, they had to stare at the blank line for 12 seconds before words. The forced silence raised twist originality scores by 22% over normal sprints. Neural rest births angles that noise blocks. Education adopts the pause approach. In 2025, Finland's grade 3 classes began quiet question signals. When a student folds both hands flat on the desk, the teacher knows they wish for think time instead of immediate answer. Standardized comprehension scores climbed 6 points, and shy students reported 12% higher class comfort. Emergency crews trust gesture codes because radios can fail. Wildland firefighters use a single-arm windmill to signal retreat when chainsaw noise kills voice. The move is visible through smoke and requires no translation. Borrow that concept. Create 2 nonverbal crisis codes for your team, a slowdown sign and an exit sign, and rehearse them. In a server outage or PR flare-up, you will save minutes. Personal calm benefits from box breathing. Inhale 4 counts, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Practice silently in an elevator ride. Heart rate dips, jaw muscles loosen, others sense that stability. A University of Melbourne meta-review linked regular box breathing to a 14% drop in perceived social anxiety over 8 weeks. Data privacy grows easier when silence replaces data. Rather than ask users to tick another cookie banner, Apple's iOS uses timed haptic taps as clues. 3 soft taps after Face ID success confirms entry, while avoiding on-screen pop-ups. Security rises, friction falls. Think of tasks where a subtle vibration or color shift could replace a full alert in your product. Schools teach sign language in infant classrooms because babies move before they speak. Toddlers signing milk reduce crying bouts. The same principle calms service desks. When an airline check-in agent holds up 2 fingers together, international sign for 1 moment, most passengers hush without grievance. Noise drops and workloads stay manageable. Art museums rely on silent routes. Visitors follow lighting gradients toward the next gallery. Philips Lighting found that guides shot audio directions 70% less once the new beam system went live. Soft spotlights at floor edges can guide crowds in your event space, freeing staff to solve higher-order problems. Silent leadership extends to gratitude. Instead of sending a long email praise, walk to a teammate's desk. Hand them a sticky note with 1 line. You saved launch day. No fluff. Your presence, the personal delivery, and the short walk speak louder than paragraphs. When conflict cannot be avoided, use the mirror and drop. Reflect their posture for 2 breaths, then release shoulders and open palms. Many counterparts subconsciously follow the release, sliding from guarded to neutral. Police de-escalation units train this as the first move when a suspect's fists ball. Adapt it to tense budget talks. Finally, craft a personal silent resume. Record a 30-second clip. 1 deep in-breath, soft eye contact, slight smile, slow nod, neutral chin, no speech. Rewatch monthly and note microtension to smooth. This clip becomes your baseline. Future progress shows in millimeters, a calmer blink, a steadier jaw. Improvement is invisible day to day but dramatic across seasons. Silence is the shortest path between perception and influence. It slips past defenses, feeds on respect, and leaves both sides lighter. With each subtle cue, you swap noise for nuance, and the world starts tilting in your quiet favor. Outsmarting anyone without speaking is not an act of dominance, but an art of listening through every sense you own. Practice patiently, guard the ethics, and watch how doors open before a single word arrives.